Checking pull requests was always important, but now it is even more important because we have AI and lots of people want to merge AI slop in the main branch. This is why by the end of this video I will show you how to prevent that and how you need to check pull request to make sure that your code is still maintainable. There always was a problem with the pull request. If you submit just a single file, you will get 10 comments. If you are submitting 100 files, you will get just one comment, everything is fine, you can merge it. Additional to that, nowadays we are using AI a lot and people are producing huge amount of code. Depending on how you use AI, it can get to the pair, you assign pair to another person, and then there is a huge problem. Because the code is not written with standards of the team or company and it is not scalable. And the first point is the most important, it is architecture and design. As a developer, you must understand the architecture of your project and follow it. If you see that changes are breaking this architecture, something is clearly wrong. And it doesn't really matter if the code was produced by AI or a developer. The person who is responsible for the pair is the developer who submitted it. And this is exactly what I see really often nowadays. People are merging a lot of AI slop, not validating it because it is so simple to simply check that there are no bugs in the feature, click accept and you're done. And you don't really care if AI produced 20 files instead of just 1 or 2. And your codebase is getting bloated and it is more difficult to support the project. So checking that architecture is still there is a must. The second point is about hidden coupling, modules and isolation. When you develop some feature, it is important that you are developing it in isolation. You should not do any changes outside that you can avoid. If it is possible to not use some dependencies in your feature, then don't use them, because it makes your code easier to support. Let's have a look on the example. We have here a user card, and as you can see, it uses auth store inside to get current user. Can we write code like this? Sure, but we need to think first. Is user card really need to access the whole authentication process? Additional to that, if you have like 20 user cards on the screen, every single one of them will subscribe to user store. It is much better to keep it simple and just make it a stateless component which gets a name and an avatar URL. And then you simply pass this needed data from the outside. So if you want to work as a senior developer, you must always ask yourself, if we are moving this component to another module, what will break? And this is exactly what we are doing in my middle to senior front-end bootcamp. We are planning architecture accordingly and isolate all needed components to make our code maintainable and testable. The next important question is about the abstraction level. Is your abstraction level correct? And it is really a tricky question because most people simply move the piece of the code to another place and they think that they made a good abstraction. If you simply moved a piece of code from one place to another, it is not an abstraction. So when you are wrapping something just to wrap it and make it more complicated, it is not really needed. For example, here there is a create API factory where we can throw base URL and strategy. And then we simply use it like api.rest. And I saw this pattern in lots of different projects. The main point is that under the hood they simply use fetch and nothing else. There is zero additional code inside. On another side, you might implement something like API client to get a list of users, which will have inside auth headers, error parsing, retry logic, and much more. Then this abstraction is needed. In the first case, it is not really needed. So as a senior developer, you must ask yourself what the caller won't do anymore if we use this abstraction. Another thing is to follow existing patterns, and this is actually what all seniors are doing when they are coming to the company. They are not trying to write the code in the way how they prefer, they just follow patterns in the project. So they see what components, helpers, modules are doing, how they are organized, and they simply create new features with exactly the same rules. If you start to write your code in completely different way, against all the patterns or libraries which are there in the project, it simply does not make sense. It makes code unclear, difficult to follow, and you will get questions in the PR, why did you implement it like that at all? So for example, here we have our product list, and we used here useState and useEffect to fetch some data. This is how you can write your code in React, but just imagine that in the whole project, people were using React query and not writing this code manually. So this code realistically doesn't have deduplication, caching, or error state. And it is written completely different. Don't do like that. So if you submit such pull request, you probably will get a question, we're using React query in the whole project, what was the reason to write this custom code here? The next thing to check is logic and edge cases. As always, people are covering only happy path, especially with AI, because they're typically not asking AI to cover errors in their code. And this is what we're getting. Here is a user profile where we're getting our user ID and we simply render a name. Obviously, this code will crash if our data is not defined. Instead, you want to get things like is loading or error additionally to the data and render some skeleton when we're loading a user profile, render an error message so it is clear what happened, and if we don't have data, because our API can return for us undefined, for example, we have a fallback. In this case, our client won't break. So you always need to remember checking for loading, error state, stale data, an empty response or erase condition. Another problem is we're trusting too much, especially when we're working with the API. In JavaScript, people typically write code like this. We just call a reduce on the item and we're calculating our total. So here we assume that our items is always an array. If you are using TypeScript, you are kind of sure that it is an array because it is typed. But still, it might be that from the API you are getting the data that are coming are corrupted and then you are getting undefined. In this case, it is much better to still fall back to an empty array so your reduce won't break. When you are using async await, it is important to handle it properly also. When you are doing some fetch requests and your component is unmounted, you will get errors. To avoid this, it is a good idea to cancel all your requests when the component is destroyed. As a good senior developer, you must always think about re-renders. In the frameworks like React or Angular, it is important to understand how often your component re-renders and how you can prevent re-rendering it again when it is not needed. For example, in this case here, we have our child with onClick event, and this is a new function every single time when we're rendering. What we can do instead is to use callback, so this doSomething function is cached, and it is not leading to cascade re-rendering. As we are using nowadays TypeScript a lot, it is important that you are using it correctly. Fixes like any or exclamation mark is really bad. If you are not sure what type you are getting, you need to use unknown, and instead of exclamation mark, you need to check for the data type that you are getting to make sure that you narrow it properly. It is also important to remember about your API contracts in components, for example. You should expose as a public API of the component only things which are necessary and not all possible internals that can be configured. It is much easier to update your component later when your public API is much simpler and smaller. And here we are coming to tests. Yes, it is important to cover your code with tests to make sure that it is bulletproof. And AI can generate lots of tests for us, but you need to validate them. Because really often they are useless, they will be shown as green, but in reality they are not even checking anything. And as a main rule here, I need to remind you that you must test the behavior and not the implementation. The worst thing that you can do is simply in test check values that you are setting in your components. Tests should not mirror your component, but test the behavior of your component. And the main question when you are looking on the PR is obviously, is it maintainable? Can you understand this code in 6 months and fix on your own? And sure, lots of people will say, I will simply use AI to fix a bug, but it is not always working. Sometimes you need to dig on it alone, and if your code is not supportable, you can spend days in fixing it instead of minutes. And if you are serious in becoming a senior developer but you lack some guidance, I created for you a free PDF with all knowledge that senior developer must know, and you can download it in the description under the video.